Hello. Wow. I am coming on live. Just receiving news from the New York Times that John Lewis has passed away. Wow. This is unexpected. I am coming on live this evening. It is midnight. I am just receiving information from the New York Times that John Lewis has passed away. It is now midnight on July the 18th. This is unexpected. John Lewis has passed away at 80 years old. Excuse me. Let's see. John Lewis, what am I getting? Dies at 80, 16 minutes ago. Wow. Towering figure of civil rights era dies at 80. I am looking at the New York Times. Please forgive me. This is unexpected. I'm going to try to share the screen with you. You can see the New York Times piece. Come on, sign in. I can't believe this. This is unexpected. As I came on this evening, I had 5 other complete stories to go over in a segment, which I was going to do a top 5. Sometimes I refer to them as 5 stories I may or may not have read, but this news has got me shook because this is the second civil rights figure we have lost in so many days. Again, forgive me. The New York Times is reporting 16 minutes ago that John Lewis has passed away at 80 years old. Let's just have a minute of reflection. This year was at least 55 years since the Evan Pettus Bridge March. This year, my Spelman sister, Abina, shout out to Abina, put on an incredible march at the end of February, which I unfortunately was not able to attend. The Democratic primary in South Carolina was taking off at the same time that march in commemoration was happening in the Birmingham and the Selma area. I know I was going to travel along that time, and it was just a bad time. We had just finished the South Carolina primary at the end of February, and coronavirus was about to hit. But forgive me, John Lewis has passed. Tonight I was going to talk about surging cases of coronavirus across the country. I was going to link that to the privacy concerns that many people are having, particularly as it's speculated that Russian hackers are attempting to find vaccine, secrets to trade either on the stock exchange or to quicken a vaccine to the Russian people who apparently are having a very difficult time with this virus. POTUS 45 has called for your coronavirus test results to forego the CDC and go directly to the White House. That's incredibly dangerous, people. I seem to have lost you all at 5 minutes as I move from talking about John Lewis to POTUS 45 and to Corona. I remember when Rosa Parks sat in the rotunda in Washington, D.C. I remember that. I did not pay my respects, just like I did not pay my respects to John Lewis. But there are a number of books, and John Lewis will be remembered and commemorated for eternity. Let's see. I'm sure he's an author of his own number of books. Freedom Riders. Okay. Born the son of sharecroppers on February 21st, 1940, outside of Troy, Alabama. Can't believe it. Unexpected. We're here. During the height of the movement, he was named the chairman of SNCC, which he had helped form. All right. Keynote speaker at the historic March on Washington in 1963. This is just, oh my goodness. This is unexpected. Rest well. A BA in religion and philosophy from Fisk University. Has been awarded over 50 honorary degrees from prestigious colleges and universities throughout the U.S., including Harvard, Brown, Penn, Princeton, Duke, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Howard, Brandeis, Columbia, Fisk, and Troy State. March is his best-selling graphic novel memoir trilogy. 2014, a children's book. Also the author of Across That Bridge, Life Lessons and a Vision for Change, written with Brenza Jones, and the winner of the 2012 NAACP Image Awards for Best Work Biography. That is the life. That is the life of John Lewis. Representative John Lewis. A life well lived. A life well lived. There were 5 other stories that I wanted to cover this evening. As the day closed out, I wanted to talk again about surging coronavirus cases across the country. I'm in the state of South Carolina, where we are experiencing astronomical growth and positivity levels in the 20s for the virus. And then those high levels of numbers, that information being reported no longer straight to the CDC, but now to the White House, and the privacy concerns that are, a part of that. Particularly when we find out that research has been hacked and Twitter hack. Just what exactly is going on right now? Let's shift to Confederate flags essentially being banned on military bases. From my understanding, having read the article, there was a specifically worded directive that did not name the Confederate battle flag as an approved flag to be flown on Department of Defense property. So let's go to the Politico article, which I'm going to post this in the forecast and Did You Catch the Forecast community. I love free sites that allow, you know, people to get the information that they need. It shouldn't be that difficult to get the information that you need. All right, on the internet. If you're a journalist, I hope that you're sharing your information with people, particularly as it relates to what we got going on right now. All right, so I'm putting this article about Confederate flags essentially being outlawed at the College of Charleston. Pentagon effectively bans Confederate flags on all military property. So, reading a little bit more of that article, I'll share some of it with you. Give me just a second. Here we go. Let me share that article with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here this evening. There are just some things that I wanted to go over, some stories that I found completely captivating. All right. This statement here from, I believe this is a Mark Esper. Yes, Defense Secretary Mark Esper. You know, we've got to keep these folks in line. We don't always know who's sitting in office, but I'm glad to know we actually have a Defense Secretary, Mark Esper. He says the flags we fly must accord with the military imperatives of good order and discipline, treating all our people with dignity and respect. All right. The Pentagon on Friday unveiled a new policy that effectively bans the display of the Confederate flag without actually naming it. All right. Politico obtained a copy of that memo, of that policy rollout, which reflects an effort to find a compromise on the divisive issue, as Defense Secretary Mark Esper strives to satisfy military leaders without irking President Donald Trump, who has criticized NASCAR for banning the flag. Let's also remember that Mississippi itself has changed the battle flag, the flag for its state, the flag that is used to represent its state. Whew, that's pretty big. That's pretty major. Years ago, South Carolina was faced with the same thing at the State House. Bree Newsom climbed a statue at the South Carolina State House. She drove down from Charlotte, if I remember correctly, and she tore down that flag. All right. Mississippi has decided they do not want that symbol on their flag anymore. These things are important. This representation matters. Representation matters. Thank you so much all for your time. I'm going to keep on and move through some of these. Along the same lines, you know, Ahmaud Arbery's murderers, the killers, pled not guilty in a court of law for the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Can you dare imagine the audacity? The audacity to pretend that you did not murder this young man. Ahmaud Arbery's death was the first excuse me, trying to multitask and do a post. Excuse me. Wow. Flag, banned, Arbery, murder. One of my first podcasts was with Mondale Robinson, and we talked about Ahmaud Arbery. And yet, you know, before I could even release that podcast in a timely fashion, we come to the death of George Floyd, unfortunately. And we've had too many other names since then. Men mysteriously hanging from trees in California. No one can be trusted. let's move on to the next story. We know that we need to pray for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, people. Oh my goodness. Now y'all hold her up. Y'all hold her up. Y'all love to hold her up. That's the ultimate. Yes, she is funky, fly, fresh. I want to do some more research on RBG. You know, the notorious Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If we lose her in the Supreme Court, you know, are we losing hope? The court has done a lot of surprising things, and maybe I'll turn into that over the next weekend. The court has done some very surprising things. Protections we didn't expect to see so quickly. All of this is changing so quickly. Forgive me when I call it a cultural revolution. Forgive me when I call it a revolution. That's where I feel like we are right now. Okay. How many other stories do I have? Lastly, you know, it's sort of, I try to bring things back in a circle. We pray for RBG because we are being sensitive to our community. And it seems like the people that don't wear the masks are the people that need the lesson and need the rules the most. All right. It's like I tell people, your privilege is showing. Your privilege is showing. Come on now. Help me out. Help us all out. These were the 5 stories. Surging cases of coronavirus across the country, including my beloved South Carolina and other places across the South, Houston, Texas, Florida, I'm sure. Privacy concerns as the current administration seeks to forego your data's delivery directly to the CDC and now to the White House itself. Wow. On the other hand, Mark Esper, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, or current acting, who knows, I can't keep up. He has all but banned the Confederate flags from flying on military installations, saying they promote division and that what we need is togetherness all together right now. We also need to pray collectively for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whose cancer has returned and whose mind we need to maintain and body we would love to maintain, to be smart, to stay on the court and do only what she can. But that collective action that we know to be through prayer, bringing the story back around to Latinos in crisis, because yes, Latinos are in crisis right now. Latinos are in crisis right now. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find the forecast, a video podcast, on your iTunes, Spotify, and Anchor platforms. We are an audio video podcast. Call it a vidcast. I think that's what they call it. Those young whippersnappers, I don't know what they're doing. Make sure you join the community on Facebook. Did you catch the forecast? That's where I previewed this information earlier today. You could have seen it hours before and you could have responded. Hey, I would love to get your comments anywhere you want to give them to me, please. You can email me at laesuccess@gmail.com. You can DM me at Najima Davis Washington on IG. You can send an email to ndw@najdaviwash. I hope it's not that confusing. Look, I want to be in touch with you people. I want to know what you think. I want to get your information about where you think this podcast and where this should go. Join the Facebook community, please. I would love it. Join the community. Did you catch the forecast? Follow us on Anchor, on iTunes, on Spotify, and where you get all your other major platform, your other major podcasts. Your subscriptions help make this successful. Please help us grow. Share, like, and subscribe. You can start on Apple Podcasts or you can start on YouTube. Either one. I'd really appreciate it. I really would. Thank you. Community. And in final words, rest in peace. Wow. To John Lewis. Rest in peace, John Lewis. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Let's reflect, people. This man fought his entire life for equality, justice, and freedom. We can't be willing to throw all of that away because we don't want to wear a mask. We can't do that. Your masks are important. They're critical. Okay. Hey, thanks again. I'm going to sign out. I'm getting delirious. I can't believe we've lost John Lewis. I'm Najima. Make sure you join my community for the forecast. If you needed a sign, this is it. Help us grow. Share, like, and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. I'm Najima. Thanks again for watching the broadcast. Yay. Good night. 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 Thanks again, everybody. But love your comments. Thanks.